testimony, Graham's recently just been over to Vanuatu, and he's going to share with some of the exciting stuff that happened over there. So we're looking forward to listening to that. Thanks, Graham.
It was a privilege to go to Vanuatu, to the island of Tanna. The first thing I need to do is to say a big thank you, because you gave me 60 glasses to take over, and every pair of glasses found a home. And the number of people that came up and said, we are so grateful we can actually read. So a big thank you from the church in Tanna. I always find going to Vanuatu a challenge, and this year was no exception. Getting ready to go was a big challenge, and I was asking the question, Lord, do you really want me to go, or what are you going to do when I get there? Going to Vanuatu, I have a little motto, and I'm starting to use it in everyday life as well. It's simply this: expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected, because you never know what's going to happen. My flight arrived in Port Vila. Next day I was to catch the small plane to fly to Tanna. Checked my emails and there's a message saying, your flight's been rescheduled from Friday to the following Tuesday. And I was speaking at the church on Sunday morning. So I ended up catching the ferry, first time on the ferry. They now actually have 3 ferries a week to Tanna. And that's awesome. But 300 people plus cargo on this ferry. It's a barge, and it takes 15 hours roughly to get there, all night sitting up in a very uncomfy chair. And anyone that gets seasick, I suggest don't use the ferry because it does really rock and roll in both directions. I got picked up by Pastor Joshua at 6 o'clock in the morning, taken to his place, got a chance to freshen up. Now we're going to church. A church I'd never been to before. When I first went to Tanna, there were 5 churches working together with Pastor Joshua. On the Friday night, we had what was called a coming together ceremony, where 2 rather large independent churches said, we want to work together with you. So that now makes 10 churches who are choosing to work together to see the kingdom come to Tanna. But he's also got other churches in other islands saying, we want to be a part of what you're doing. To me, there is something very powerful that happens when the church of a community comes together, and rather than working independently, say, we choose to work together. And that's what I am seeing. It's like the presence of God is greater, is stronger now than it was when I first went there, because they are choosing to work together. The people know how to do community very well. But when you get different communities coming together, there can be tensions. But seeing them choose, yes, we want to work together. On the last night when I was due to fly home, my plane broke down. I ended up flying out of Port Vila an hour and 20 minutes before the earthquake. But I was awake 3 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up crying. And I was saying, Lord, what What's breaking your heart? You know what breaking his heart? The church of this nation. And that's what I was crying at. The church of this nation, because we choose to work independently of each other instead of working together. And it breaks the Father's heart. While I was there, I spoke at 2 church services, 2 different churches. It's always exciting when you have to preach outside because the church building is way too small. You can't preach with a hat on, and it was North Queensland sort of weather with blazing sun. I had somebody standing at the first one behind me with an umbrella. The second time, they actually set up a permanent umbrella next to the lectern, and it was quite colourful. But what I see is a people who are hungry for God. There is a desperation in them for the presence of God. We were talking about it this morning. It's almost like, how hungry are we really? Because what I see over there is a desperation. It's almost like without God, they have nothing. And it's like, that's something we can take hold of. We need to be desperate for God. Because when we're desperate for God, God shows up. And that's what happened at the conference. God showed up. Hearts and lives were changed. I spoke at the Friday night conference. We had roughly about 350 people there. At least 200 of them were young people. And we got to pray for the young people. We anointed them with oil. And it was amazing to see the differences in each young person. Those who were hungry for God and those who came just because it was the in thing to do. The ones who were desperate for God, God hit. And when God hits, you don't stand. To me, I probably came home more encouraged and more blessed than I feel that what I did over there. But the report I'm getting back is that I actually spent a morning teaching on Psalm 23. And it's like, I think there's a lot of preaching going on Psalm 23. Because I had a lot of pastors in the gathering who were taking notes. Pastor Joshua actually took 70 young people aside to teach them and almost like equipping and training them. Because the young people are the up and coming generation. They're the ones that we really need to see impact. Over there, they see God at work, transforming lives. And the young people are hungry. They're hungry for God. They know with God all things are possible. Because they have nothing. Little things that we take for granted. Like if you drive a car and you get a flat tyre, what do? Change the tyre. Or ring up RACQ. Over there, they don't have spare tyres. They don't carry a pump. If you get a flat tyre, you're probably going to lose half a day because you'll have to take the tyre off or get somebody to come and take the tyre off, pay them for that. Then get the tyre taken into town, get it pumped up, pay for that, get the tyre back, pay for that, and then put it back on the car. So the number of times we got delayed because of flat tyres was sort of like, so little things we take for granted over there can be a major issue. But what I am encouraged about is God is at work. God is doing amazing things. And to see transformed lives. People came up to me who God impacted last year and the year before. And as soon as they see you, tears streaming down their faces, and they give you a big hug. We are so glad you came back. God's at work in Vanuatu. Because it was actually on a beach in Vanuatu where the Quiros landed and made a declaration. Great Southland of the Holy Spirit. That declaration applies to us as much as it applies to Vanuatu. We have things that we can do to help them. They have things that they are doing that will make us shake our head when you see what God's doing.